Folks, welcome back to Beer and Business. Today is Friday, May 15th. This is Jake.
This is John.
And this is Darren.
And today on the show, we've got Bobby Hale. He's the owner of CTD Interiors. And we're going to be talking to Bobby about how perseverance, determination, and just like the sheer will to survive can get you through a tough time. Bobby was in the construction business during the Great Recession, and I can't wait to hear your story, Bobby. So welcome to the studio. It's nice to have you here.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
So before we get down to business, boys,
Yes.
we're having a delicious beverage. The three of us, the knuckleheads here at Beer and Business Studios, are having First Crush IPA. This is turning into one of my favorite beers.
It is.
This is really good. It's just a easy drinking tropical IPA. And Bobby, you have Rangefinder. You're more of a golden ale type of guy.
Yep.
And I love that one too. It's a really light, refreshing beer, perfect for the pool. So, boys, here's to prosperity and being in the studio during all this madness.
Yes. Cheers.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. So,
Really cool about on the label of their beers is how they always give you the indicators.
yeah.
So it gives you a little bit more of, hey, what am I really getting into when I drink this beer? Not just,
Yep.
oh, this one's
So, First Crush is light in color, soft on the bitterness scale, little in the middle between dry and sweet on finish, and, a little bit more full bodied, kind of like us.
Mm-hmm. What are you saying?
I think you know exactly what I'm saying.
I know.
So make sure you go to the brewery, guys. Obviously they are open for carry out orders. I've got it. I'm getting that. Words are coming out.
Okay.
Open for carry out orders, as we've talked about, but also big announcement this week. They are open outside, so you can have a beer outside at a picnic table.
Yes.
So if you just like to get out of the house,
They have
go
a
to Line Creek
roll-up door that they bring the taps out to, and you can
Yep.
get pour a fresh one right.
and just sit out. And this weather's been beautiful. Just sit outside and have a frosty one. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I think I want to do it right now.
come on.
So, Bobby, thanks for coming in. Man, I tell you what, the Great Recession was awful. It was all predicated on housing. And you had the luxury of being in the construction business when all this stuff happened. Oh, my God. I can't think, if it seems to me like probably construction and being a house builder, probably the two worst industries to be in the Great Recession. So really interested to hear your story. So just take us back to the beginning. I mean, when all this started to happen, at what point was it that you started to go, there might be trouble on the horizon?
Well, it's strange. At first, you have little bumps along the way all the time. But
We're going to get your microphone adjusted just a little.
gotcha.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's better.
All right. So, you run into different things and you say, okay, it's going to turn around. So you just keep going. But after a while, it got to the point where it's like, we got to do something.
So was this in 2008? That you started
2007, but toward the end of 2007, probably November on into 2008, it got to the point where we was, we had a rather large drywall company, and we was just hemorrhaging. I mean, we had guys out there, and we had more money going out than we had coming in. We went from doing probably 800 houses or so a year down to like 16 the next year.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, seriously, it was
Good Lord.
and
How big of a crew did you have before that?
I mean,
Usually,
I don't
just a
even-
ballpark.
we probably had anywhere from 50 to 60 guys out at all times.
Wow.
And that's crews. So we basically, fortunately, we started out in the business doing the work ourselves. And it kind of grew. And so we got into the more management positions. And we were more or less managing, and scheduling and keeping things going. We had to wind up having to let everybody go.
Oh, Jesus.
And you have a partner.
I do. I have a business partner.
We don't want to slight him if he's
Yeah.
listening. He's like, what do you mean you're the owner? So there are two
Yeah.
owners.
So, and it's good because, when I was 16 or so, I used to finish sheetrock with him. And then I went away to college. And when I come back, I wound up marrying his sister, and we got into business together.
This was going to be weird if you came back and married him.
I married his sister.
Okay.
So we wound up going into business together, and, it was good when it was good. But when all this recession hit, we had to basically dust off our tools and go back out and do what little bit of work we had just to manage, life.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so I want to go back and unpack what happened in this last recession. I got some questions for you. So,
Gotcha.
Obviously you go from those type of numbers, like 800 houses a year. And I imagine that's all like new construction,
All
right?
new construction.
Yeah. So new construction just got absolutely obliterated in the
Right.
Great Recession.
Right.
How fast was the drop? I mean, was it like, did this take 6 months for it to get to that
Yeah.
level?
Probably something like that. It was steadily going down, and the money, the people, we were doing houses, and people quit paying, and we've been working with them for a while, and it got real bad. Luckily, I had guys that were real loyal, been working with us for years, and of course, we foregone what money we were making
Sure.
just to make sure we could pay our guys, and we went through basically everything we had, plus then some. We borrowed money from family members, just trying to keep everything going. And then we got to the point where we just had to cut it off. We just couldn't do it anymore.
So not only did you have the issue of business dropping as precipitously as it did, but also you had people not paying for the work that you did. So that's
I
like
don't even want to say the amounts, but yes, large, well over hundreds of thousands of dollars that we were not paid.
For work that you had done, materials, you had to pay your people, and oh my gosh, that's just awful.
It was tough. Toughest thing I ever dealt with in my life.
Yeah.
We worked hard for years. This is a second generation company. My father-in-law actually started the company back in the late 70s. And so, not only was it, my brother-in-law, that's all he's ever done, his dad's business. So, it's something it's our baby. This is, we don't want to let it go. It's more emotional, and there was a lot of people out there just dropping it, taking other jobs, going doing other things, and getting out of the business altogether. But to us, there wasn't an option.
So let me ask you a question, because there's one thing that you said that's got me really curious. So as this thing is, quickly sliding, and I don't even know that it's maybe bottomed out yet, but things got to look bleak.
Right.
And what gave you guys the confidence, if you've lost money and you're on the ropes, what gave you the confidence to go borrow?
Well, because we thought it was going to turn around.
So you thought this was going to be quick and we'd be...
Well, we've been through tough spots over the years. We've been in business for a long time, and you have these ups and downs through business. And, we had LOCs, we had lines of credits that we worked off of.
Sure.
We'd maxed that out. But to keep it going, we were just trying everything we could, which may not have been the smartest thing, but we didn't know any better. We just did what we felt like we had to do. It wasn't like we wanted to give up.
And you're still in business
Right.
today.
We're still in business today,
but-
and it wasn't easy. I mean,
sure. And that's the story that we want to get into. But, let me ask you this. I mean, obviously things were going bad and you guys get on the ropes. When did you feel like it had bottomed out?
Well, I don't know the date, but, basically when we didn't have the money to pay our guys, we'd borrowed as much as we could borrow that we felt comfortable. And you just get to the point where it's, look, we've got to do something. And so we wound up having to just shut everything down. And I think the first job, because we did commercial drywall too, the first job we actually, what we called dusted our tools off and went to work, was a commercial job that we had lined up probably 6 months or so prior. And I remember going out there with my brother-in-law, and we're out there finishing sheetrock in the middle of June.
So it was nice and cool.
Oh man. Hey, I was so out of the doing that.
Physically fit, you slid back.
I remember going out to, when we talk about this sometimes when we sit down and reminisce, I'm hurling out it's so hot. And I downed a couple of Gatorades or something too quick, and I'm out in the parking lot hurling, but I had to get up and go back to work. And,
Sure.
It took many months to get back into, the groove. But I mean, I remember showing up to jobs and people, and this may not be politically correct, but
that's okay. You're at home at the show, so that's fine.
Yeah.
well, we use a lot of amigos, I'll say.
Yeah.
So they would say like, well, where are your Mexicans? And we're like, we are the Mexicans now. We didn't have a choice. I mean, we had to eat.
Yeah.
So this is the only way. And I remember, living from paycheck to paycheck. As soon as we get done, we needed to get paid because we needed that money to put gas in the truck, to, buy materials, to do this, do that. I mean, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
For a long time. I don't even remember when it was tough for a long time.
So you guys had been managing the business for years.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you find yourself doing the work. I mean, that's a big transition.
Luckily that's how we started, was doing the work.
Yeah.
So we knew how to do it. I mean, it's hard to run a business when you're not, and I guess there's people that do that, but we actually were the workers originally.
Yeah.
And we kind of grew the business to where we managed the people. Well, luckily we had that to fall back on, and it's,
now he's got to carry his own sheetrock again. He's like, man,
I forgot how much this crap weighed.
oh yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an awakening, but I was glad that we were able to do that. And luckily we had, we've been in business for a long time. We knew a lot of people, and a lot of the jobs that we got were people that we've known from our past. Like I said, there's times that we would get up and go to work, not necessarily have a job to do, but we got up every morning, left the house, heading to work. We'd pull into a Home Depot, take out our phones and start calling everybody we knew just until we found something to do. Usually before lunchtime, we had a job to go to, even if it lasted a couple of days. We'd clean gutters, we'd pick up trash. We didn't care. We just needed to make a check. And, but drywall was our background. I remember the house was here in Peachtree City. One of my clients, we went to hang and finish sheetrock in the basement they were finishing. And we got done with the sheetrock finishing. And she's like, do you know anybody that does paint and trim? And I'm like, yes, we do.
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
Yes, please.
Well, and that had actually started a whole new process for us. And that particular customer owned some rental property. And probably a few months later, she acquired a new house and called me and asked me if I would be willing to remodel it for her. And that was kind of the start of our remodeling career. And that is kind of taken off like crazy. We got to where we were doing more remodeling and stuff like that. The house she gave us, we gutted it, took it all the way down to the studs and redesigned the roof line, everything. I mean, all new windows, made it a new house for her. Was a big learning experience for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. That's really interesting. So I imagine that these were skills that you guys had to acquire.
Yeah, well, and we built our own houses years ago when we moved where we live now. So we knew how to do it.
It's a little different when you do it for other people, though. I mean,
it is.
You should see how Mr. Winnie and I work on cars.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't make a profit if we were in business.
I wouldn't use so much duct tape if I was doing it.
or a hair dryer, or something.
No. The more you do
it, if you're a good builder, you know that there are no right angles in a house.
Oh no, not at all, and nothing square.
Plum is a fruit.
Yeah.
No doubt. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And with the remodeling, I really took to it because it's something I've done a lot of trim. We've had tile, we've done tile work before, so you name it, we've done it over the years. And so we just got into doing a lot of remodeling because that's what was available at the time because there was no new construction. Nobody was buying new houses. They were just fixing their houses they have and making it work for them. So, we kind of fell into it. And I fell in love with it. And so we built a reputation, I guess you would say, because we always tried to do, quality work no matter what we was doing. And, one person would tell another and it just kind of blossomed. We were still always doing drywall in the background too. And then we got to the point where, the drywall's picking up
Mm-hmm.
At this point, me and Eddie are doing everything ourselves.
Sure.
Eddie's my partner, business partner. So we got to the point where we was getting more work than we could get to. So
Yep.
we started calling people to help us do a few little jobs. And I used a lot of the people that we have met over the last 25 years of being in business.
Yep.
The carpenters that I knew that were good, the painters I knew that were good, the trim guys I knew, everybody that I met and worked with over the years, that's the guys I called on because I knew the quality of work they had. And it just kind of progressively grew to the point where the drywall started picking back up. And Eddie started dealing with that. So now we got drywall and so we basically have two different divisions now with income coming in. And, at first it was kind of spotty where the drywall would be busy for a little bit and doing the remodel would be slow.
Sure.
And then whenever the remodel would speed up and it would drop down. So it worked real good. Well, now both of them are just wide open and it's amazing how we got here.
I got a lot of things I want to unpack there.
Okay.
So the first thing is you guys went from running a successful business. You had an office, you had, 50, 60 guys out working on a regular basis.
Right.
And then what I'm sure probably felt like overnight, you guys have lost your entire crew and you're sitting in the Home Depot parking lot dialing for dollars. And
Right.
that's an enormous swallowing of pride and taking a step back. And what was that like for you?
It's surreal. It's hard to even explain. I tell you what, it's definitely one of them things that it'll make you really appreciate what you do have. You take a lot of stuff for granted. And you realize that when we're trying to scrape up money to go through McDonald's and buy off the dollar menu.
Yeah.
I like to eat. And
I can relate.
It's just one of the, yeah. So, and I remember going to, we'd be, pulling our change together. Another funny story is a lot of the materials, we were doing everything, cash out of hand. We'd go to Lowe's, particular Lowe's we went to regularly. And every time we'd go in there and buy materials, I remember Eddie would pull money out of his pocket and I'd pull money out of my pocket. And we would have to, I'd have to get the cashier to kind of help us split it because we were paying half in each other.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I still see the lady now and she's like, wow, she says, you don't need me to split that for you? But it's just crazy. It's been I don't know how to, it's just been wild.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you were telling me the other day, and there is when you quote a job, there's for materials and such. And I've been on sites before, and you're pulling out nails and screws, and then it falls on the floor. Nobody picks it up. That's just part of the overrun and the waste.
Right.
Back then.
Oh yeah, your whole outlook changes.
That screw cost 2 cents.
Yeah,
Pick
yeah.
that damn thing up.
Tell me, you used to use you had your magnet for that.
Right. Yeah. We would walk the job with a magnet and pick stuff up. You take whatever materials left from that job, you move it to the next. When things are moving, I was telling John the other day, I said sometimes it costs you more when you're looking at it from a business to pay somebody to pick that stuff up.
Right.
But when we're the ones working and we're the ones, we're trying to save every penny we can. Just that way we can put it back in our pockets.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It was definitely a struggle.
So when it comes to swallowing your pride and stepping back, something that I can relate to because I took a big step back in my career to start a business. And, I gotten to the point where I had a senior executive role. I had an admin, I had armies of people to do stuff for me. And then I started a small business and I'm doing everything.
Oh,
and, start from zero. You're living on your savings and, you find yourself like, damn, I'm like cold calling people and people are telling me to go to hell. It's like, but I used to be
Right.
a chief operating officer. And they're like, I don't give a shit, buddy.
Yeah.
So it was a big swallowing of pride for me too. But I'm going to tell you.
An email for me. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I got to
no,
do it myself.
God damn, I got to type this thing myself. This is ridiculous.
Who's getting me coffee?
I know. Hello. Yeah, I need a little errand boy. I don't have one. But I'm telling you, as humbling as that was, because it was a very humbling experience, kind of stepping back and starting all over. Probably been one of the best things that I've done for myself because, man, I think that's probably given me more perspective in my career and life than probably anything that I've been through so far.
No, it's changed the way we look at everything.
Has it?
It really does. Even now, sometimes, even if we've got money to do stuff with, we're a little bit more hesitant to spend it because we're like, what happens if we get back into that again? It just changes.
I do not want to go back to the dollar menu. Those burgers are way too small.
No doubt. I agree.
I can't fill up on a damn cheeseburger.
Can I have 50 packets of ketchup, please? 50? You have one hamburger.
2 hash
I need a
browns.
meal.
Got to stock the pantry.
I know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those are my noodles later. I'm making spaghetti tonight.
Yeah, never been there before.
Yeah, right.
But it is. It's amazing how it changes your perspective going through something like that. And I've kind of been through this similar thing where, things that used to matter to me don't matter anymore.
Right.
And I'm sure you guys have probably gone through the same thing in your business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I drove around, we bought a vehicle just to work out of, and we drove it till we couldn't drive it anymore. I remember pulling up on the job and having 4 Maypops on it. And the home tires slick as
They may pop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and the builder's like, dude, y'all need some tires. I said, yeah, we need to get paid.
Yeah.
So, I remember the first time we was able to buy, because we were going and getting, buying reused tires or whatever, used tires, every chance, whenever we could.
Sure.
And I remember it was the biggest thing in the world. We could buy new tires, a full set of new tires. That was like a milestone. And I know it sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't at all. I mean,
but that was a milestone when we was able to buy new tires to put on this van we were working out of. We felt like we had arrived or something. The girls at the bank that we used, and it was always funny because when we come and make a deposit, we would turn around and cash it out.
All right, I need it now.
Yeah, exactly. And they knew us and they worked with us really well. You
make friends so they don't hold it.
Oh, yes. No,
I've been there,
you
man.
can't put this on hold. Call so-and-so at this branch. Yeah, they'll tell you can't put my check. But this is the kind of, I'm telling you, that's the deal. Call them.
But they were used to that. I mean, they were used to you before and probably saw your transgression from you would come in, it's like checks are good, everything was fine, and now all of a sudden you're hitting this lean period and you're like, we need this, and I'm sure they empathized with you. I'm sure they had sympathy
we had to change bank because of some issues. The banks were not the best.
What do you mean you're holding that for 10 days?
Countrywide.
It's a $50.
And the bad thing about it is, some of the accounts we'd had for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they, stuff happened. So it kind of, so this was a new account. So we had to prove ourselves to them. And we're still with them. They're a great bank. They all know us now, call us by name. So, if we were just some big company throwing money, they probably wouldn't know us like they did back then.
Sure.
But every Friday we were there trying to get there before they closed so we could get the checks cashed and get money to, so we can go to work the next week.
Yeah.
It was, and not having to live like that is one of those things that's just, oh, me.
So did you ever feel like you were going to go to business back in that time?
You know what? We never even thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just put our heads down and kept going forward. It got scary. I mean,
Sure.
It was, I'm not going to lie, it was tough, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what builds character in people.
Yeah.
But I don't think me or my brother-in-law, either one, ever thought about quitting.
Mm-hmm.
We never avoided anything. We always talked to people. If we didn't have the money, we just told them, look, there's no way. We don't have it. When we have it, we'll do what we can. because we owed people money just like everybody else back then, and we always talked to them. We never avoided them, never act like we didn't know it, and we've paid off some pretty big bills during the process of this. One of our line of credits was $150,000, and we paid on it for years. Paid it down. They turned it into a conventional loan, and we had to pay on it for, so that was coming out of everything we was making too.
Sure.
And that was part of, we tried to do what was right. There was other people that just cut rope and.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, before we go any further, I want to tell you, I really appreciate that, because one of the things that perpetuated the recession back in 2008 were so many people saying, you know what, the hell with it.
Yep.
I'm just going to give it to the bankruptcy courts, and I'm going to start over.
Right.
And I remember people walking away from their houses
all the time
because they had dropped in value, but they absolutely had the ability to pay the damn mortgage. And it's like, if you can pay it, why are you walking away? Well, because it's worth half of what it was worth before, and it'll take me years to make that. I'm just going to walk away. And it pissed me off because I was in one of the top 10 counties in the country that lost value in the housing
You were in
collapse.
Ohio.
No, I was in Florida at the time.
Oh, you're in Florida. Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Seminole County, Florida, baby. We got hammered. We ended up selling our house for 35% of what we bought it for.
Wow.
It's the only time I've ever sold a house, and I had to show up at closing with a 6-figure check.
Well,
Yeah.
I had to cut a 6-figure check to sell my house. Yeah, that's
I
how bad.
remember the house I bought was, we bought it for 180. We ended up 2 years later, it appraised for like $335,000.
Yeah.
And then it went back. Well, in the end, we wanted to sell it for like $172,000.
But
Short
anyways,
sale.
I want to get back to my point.
Yeah, oof, boy, that was
I
bad.
appreciate you guys doing that, because
That's awesome.
it probably could have been easier for you guys just to bankrupt the company,
Right.
start over fresh, new name, and then we're not encumbered by those debts. But you guys did the right thing, and not enough people did the right thing. So I really appreciate that. That's very noble of you, because the thing that I think a lot of people may not realize is that companies and individuals get hurt when we do that. Bankruptcy law is great; it protects you from a lot of things, but somebody always gets hurt.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So
How did during this period, how did your wife take this? Like when you came home, was she supportive, or was she like, maybe you should think about doing something else because you're married to your partner's sister is your wife
Luckily, she's grew up
in that?
in this industry.
Okay.
And, there's been a few recessions that's happened that she's been through.
She ain't good at hanging drywall? No.
But look, they did help a lot. I mean, she got a job, to help supplement what we were making, and she was making more than I was for a little while.
She wasn't working before.
She wasn't
this.
working before, but she wound up getting a job. To
guess
help,
what, Mama?
That's excellent.
You
She
know?
has to work.
So,
That's right.
So she knew what needed to be done, and she was willing to pitch in and not sit on the sideline going, "You need to fix this."
and she did work in the office whenever the office, we had a bunch of people in the office. She was one of the girls that worked in the office, so we had to let her go, just like everybody else. So she did do that, but she only worked a couple of days a week, whatever, just kind of a supplemental type thing.
Did you let her go like on the weekend? Did you just make her breakfast in bed and coffee and say, "Hey, dear, by the way, you're fired"?
Yeah.
Nah,
Do it through email.
she gets to hear all the behind the scenes stuff.
Through email.
I left a note in her locker.
Honey, come outside. Look at the plane sky ready. You're fired.
Nah, she hears all the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She knew where we was going. She knew it was going to happen. We tried to avoid it for a long time, but it was inevitable.
What about your father-in-law? Was he there to give you guys advice at all and tried to guide your ship to help you get through the storm?
he was close to retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like,
And-
"Man, you guys are fucked.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
If you think I'm getting back out there
No.
pounding nails, you're wrong.
Hey, they supported us the best way they could.
Yeah.
Which financially they did more than they should have done. He'd started this company, so it's passionate to him.
Yeah, had a legacy.
Good
So
family.
and I don't know that we'll ever be able to repay them what they did do, but we try. We do the best we can with it. But yeah, they were great.
So one of the other things I wanted to go back and unpack that I thought was really interesting is you talked about how, Darren, while you're over there at the cooler, buddy, do you see this?
What do you want?
You're the same thing.
Yeah,
I need another
double down on
First
the
Crush.
First
Yeah,
Crush,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah, you're gonna like that one. It's a really good beer. But the first episode that we did in this series about surviving and thriving through a recession was with Joe Domaleski. And what they did with their business was they completely changed. They were into retail, doing, computer repair and Mac sales and all that stuff. And they reinvented themselves as a, web design company, and Country Fried Creative was born. And you guys did something really similar. So you were, kind of a, stamp it out drywall company doing new construction, just house after house. And then you got into more, I'd say customized jobs. And then you started to do, remodeling. So you guys reinvented your business as well. And I just want to know how critical was that? I mean, do you think you guys would have survived if you would have said, no, we're just going to stick to drywall and we're going to figure out how to make that work?
It's hard to say. I think it made it easier because we had more options, because there was times we didn't have drywall, but we had other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And then we got into a situation for a little while that really helped kind of, I guess, give us a little extra push. We got involved with a company called Invitation Homes through a friend of ours. And basically, they were really taking advantage of the foreclosures and stuff like that. And they were buying houses up all across the country.
Sure.
And so we would.
Yeah, it was a buyer's market back then.
No doubt. Well, it was a big hedge fund that was put
Sure.
together they bought, I think, close to 6,000 houses just in the Atlanta
best time
area.
to buy.
And so we would go in there and basically take these houses that had furniture still in them, clothes, all kind, and we would put a dumpster in there and we'd pull everything out of the house, replace all light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, just redo the whole house, make it like brand new, and then they would rent them out.
Yeah.
And we've
That's a
done
great business model.
that for a while, which was good, steady work. And it wound up running out, but we learned a lot from doing that kind of transitioned into the remodeling. But the remodeling is, we kind of try to stick in a certain area and we do a little bit of everything now, but it's weird. I mean, yeah, we were strictly drywall for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we'll ever go back to just drywall, just in case something like this happens again.
Well, that diversification probably got you through this.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the other part is when Bobby starts talking about remodeling and he'll pull out his phone and show you pictures of things that he's done. You light up.
Oh, I'm
like
passionate about it.
1,000 light. I mean, it's just like 1,000 candles lighting up at one time. He'll start talking and he's like, look at this. But the expression, your attitude, you're just so, you are passionate about it. You're very proud with your work. You don't do a half-assed job with anything.
No, we pride ourselves on doing a step above most people. And with that comes a certain clientele we deal with, and I can't work in certain areas because I'm too expensive.
Sure.
And I'm fine with that.
No.
Hey, when you're good, you're good.
Hey,
I mean,
when were you able to, going back to this, when were you able to finally start? You said you would sub out other work, but when were you able to start bringing back some of your crew?
Well, it was, man, that's hard to say.
A little bit.
It was a gradual thing. And I had guys that were hesitant to come back to work for me, because they knew how bad it was and everything. And slowly over time, they've all, we've got a lot of the guys moved on and moved to different states and stuff, but I still have guys that call me. I got a phone call from a guy the other day that worked for me probably 20 years ago. And he was like, hey, you remember me? I'm like, well, yeah, I remember you, and
Yeah, but he was calling you from where? You told me part of the story.
Yeah,
Where did he call you from?
He would call me from Mexico.
Huh.
He was somewhere in Mexico. I forget where it's at, but he worked for me, and his brother worked for me. I mean, there was a lot of them that worked for me.
And he was just catching up with you.
Yeah, we talked for probably a good hour or so, just reminiscing. He remembered when my daughter was born. She's 16 now.
Wow.
you build relationships too.
Yeah.
Relationships are important in this business, or in all businesses. But a lot of the guys that I work with now are people that I worked with years ago. I mean, when I don't know, you get to know people and you know what they're capable of. I don't want to do subpar work. There's guys out there that can get in there and do stuff cheaper and quicker, but it's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I told a customer the other day, we kind of pick and choose our customers now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking you as much as you're picking me. But back when all this was going on, man,
You got a pulse in the checkbook.
yes, as long as they,
Never say no. Never say no to work.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. I mean, it's weird. It's weird how that's changed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I made that statement to him, I had to pause for my own personal. I'm thinking, man, it's been a long time since I've been able to, be that way. But some customers are harder to deal with, and not as profitable.
Yeah.
But you said you did anything. You were cleaning gutters.
Oh, yes.
You were picking up trash. You
trash,
were washing cars.
Whatever. Yeah, it didn't
Whatever it
matter.
took.
So I do have a question for you, because I'm sure like when you guys were in that phase where you're trying to figure out like where can we find work, there was probably some jobs that came up where somebody's like, hey, we need X, Y, and Z done, and you guys are like, I'm not sure we know how to do that.
That's never stopped us.
Well, it's funny. We had Sarah Dale on the show last week, and that was one of the things that she said. Like her first big break to have a national talking role, they asked her, like, do you have experience on this stuff? She's like, yep. Oh, absolutely. I can do that. And she was like shitting her pants.
Yeah.
Did it
Like,
once.
oh my
Did it
God.
once.
Had
That's
like a
experience.
2-hour course.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, there's so many stuff people ask us to do, and we're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Man, we're
You're on the
making
Googs.
phone calls, Googling,
I'm YouTubing that.
YouTubing it, yeah, whatever.
How do I scrape a grease trap again? What?
Exactly.
I have never even heard that word before.
Yeah, but you can't be scared.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you.
I haven't figured out anything I couldn't do yet. I always tell my wife I think I could do, be a brain surgeon if I could just do it once.
I
Hell, you
beg
could
to
probably run
differ a little bit. I hate to tell you.
If you could tweet, you could run the country.
Where's the
There you
limbic
go.
All you have to
again?
do, right?
A lobe? What's a lobe?
You don't need that, do you?
Tool them and glass.
Just hand me the drill. We'll get in there and look around a little bit.
Yeah.
There's not a screw in here anywhere.
Do I go in with an impact drill or do I just use
Right.
Oops. No, I think it's interesting that you guys did that, because when we went through the Great Recession, I actually worked for corporate America, but I went through something really similar where, when everything started to hit the fan in 2008, when it was getting really bad, I was actually tasked with growing out a market that, AT&T was getting just annihilated in. And so I went in and I had done this so many times before. I was like an expert at this point. So I went in with my playbook and I failed miserably. It didn't work. And I actually wrote about this in the book. This is probably the closest I ever got to getting fired, because I essentially went in front of our regional president and said, I failed. I did not recognize how much this market has changed and that we have to do business differently in the future. And everybody was dealing with it, but I was the first one to just put my hand up and say, hey, I should have known better. And we went back and completely changed the way that we did market growth after that, and it worked. But again, it was like, hey, we don't know how to do this. We've never seen this before, so we got to come at it from a different angle.
That was that bit when you were, was that the one where you were trying to, with the other guy in the territory, and you told him basically, no, you can't? Was that it?
Yeah.
Kind of, okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying
and
to remember which chapter.
It was how we handled distribution, and we just couldn't do it the way that we did it before. We had to change everything, and that was at a big company. So I mean, obviously being a small business owner, it's kind of the same thing.
For those that are binge watching, Better Call Saul, stop and skip over this point. But he came up with a great philosophy when he was working in that cell phone store on a way to sell a lot of cell phones.
I've never seen that show.
Yeah, he basically wound up selling a lot of burners instead. So he was
so he was selling to
contacting-
Al Qaeda.
Yeah, no, all the lowlives around town, the drug dealers and
dealers,
everything
yeah.
else.
Yeah,
And
nice. Good for
he'd
you.
hang out on the corner with a van and sell all the cell
Out of the
phones.
trunk of the car.
Don't let the man track you, I think, or
Nice.
something, what he wrote on those.
That'll work.
But he
Hey.
found a way.
He did. He found a way to make it through it. So
Yeah.
Ingenuity. I mean, what can you say?
So, okay for those.
Just never say no. Never say no to an opportunity when you're put in that position.
I mean, there are times
Wisdom
when,
from Mr. Winnie.
I know what you're talking about, though, eating off the dollar menu. I mean, I was between two jobs, and this wasn't during the Great Recession, but long before.
Yesterday.
Right.
And back then, I mean, I was like, I would go do day labor while I was looking for a job. I mean, I wasn't too proud to do anything. I was eating, back then, that's when Taco Bell had 49-cent bean burritos.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was like daily consumption. That was in my daily diet for a very long time. And so.
Been there, done that, man.
I was laid off in 2006. My wife was 6 months pregnant. I took a job working on garbage trucks. I like working on the engine, like the truck broke down full of garbage. So you're sitting there underneath it working on the engine, and there's maggots dropping on your hair as I'm working on this thing. It was good, but hey, I never
Paycheck's a paycheck, man.
That's right. I never said no.
God damn. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear from your perspective, Bobby. So all the stuff that you guys went through, how does that impact what you guys are going through today? I mean, I don't think any of us really know what the economic impact's going to be of all this shutdown stuff yet. I think it's going to take a while for that to shake out. But what are you guys applying now that you learned from that experience?
Well, probably we're trying to hold on to all our money, trying to keep as much of it, not make any extravagant purchases or anything.
Just be a little more conservative.
Yeah, basically just, watch our money.
Yeah. So it sounds like you guys built frugality kind of into your DNA after that, right?
Well, we don't spend money on stuff that we used to. You go back and look at some of the numbers on what we spent. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. We were running pretty much a social program, within the business. We made a lot of money.
A social program.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm sorry. What does that mean?
I'm sorry. We paid full coverage insurance, medical insurance for just about everybody that worked in house. Mm-hmm. Instead of making them, most companies subsidize that.
Right.
We paid it out, because most of us were family too. A lot of us were my sister-in-laws and, people like that. We tried to, keep all the money in, but we spent a lot of money doing that. And, we may at some point have to have, a secretary or something like that, but we are trying so hard not to do that again.
You haven't opened up a big office again.
No, have not. Don't plan on it. Trying to keep the overhead to a very minimal. Keep more money in our pockets.
I think Darren's available if you need. You do need a good secretary.
Yeah, he makes a good bitch. So, but so here's one of the things I find really interesting about this. So, if you go back to 2007 compared to, say 2019, right. So both years prior to, an economic impact. In 2007, you had a big office, you had a big staff, I don't want to say you guys live lavishly, but you were, kind of a little bit looser with the financials.
Well, it's probably like this is how a company should be. If you want to be a successful company, this is where you ought to be, and you can earn. You can take care of this overhead and everything else.
I was lucky in this point. The accountants always told us every 3 years you need to pay off your car, buy a new car, just for tax purposes. And I just had paid my truck off 6 months prior to this. And the deal was we was buying my wife a car next, whatever. And I told her, I said, let's give it a little bit. Your car's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And I know people that bought cars, right before this that had them repoed, and I still have that truck. I don't drive it anymore, but, I just recently have bought a truck, but that was a hard decision to make. Mm-hmm. I was buying cheap cars because I didn't want to spend the money. Definitely didn't want to make payments on anything because I didn't know what was going to happen. I have bought a truck and, make payments on it, but I tried to put as much as I could, keep that payment down low. So if anything happened, I could.
But here's what I find interesting, doing the compare and contrast bit and solidifying the point that you guys learned. you know, last year, you know, leading up to what happened in 2020, you guys don't have a big fancy office. In fact, you use Launch and Go. You know, you use a co-working office space.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't have the staff and overhead that you did. And this is all in a period where, I mean, 2019, you know, leading up to this, we're in the strongest economy we've ever seen.
Agreed.
I mean, just absolutely booming. And if there was ever a time where you could have maybe lived a little bit more of a lavish lifestyle and kind of hung it out there and said, yeah, you know, we're swinging for the fences, but you didn't do that. You stayed smart because
after all that, we looked at each other and said, we'll never do this again. And we're like, if you ever even suggest it, I'm going to hit you. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things. And I'm not saying we know that at a certain point we may have to, but we're, you know, I'm going to say this way. We're not going to deal with family. You know, in the office, we'll hire somebody that, you know, they know what their job is. They do their job, you know, and it's not going to be, we're not going to set up a big fancy showroom or anything like that, you know, and I'm not saying that's wrong for everybody. For us, we don't need it. You know,
Right.
That's more money going into our pockets.
sure.
You know,
Now, how does that transition to your employees? Like with your crews and stuff, do you ever talk to them about that or say, listen, you may want to just, you know, we went through this before. Remember what happened? Do you have a safety net? You know, do you have something in the bank that if we have to go lean again, especially with this uncertain time, you got some money to carry you through? Are you willing to go flip burgers?
look, Darren, you know how this works. You know, they say if you took all the money in the world now, divided it between everybody in the world, in a matter of years, the rich would be rich and the poor would be poor. It's just habits that all people have.
Sure.
They're going to, you know, and I've got some guys that are smart with their money that work with me, and I've got guys that live from paycheck to paycheck. It's just the way it is.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, you know, we talk about stuff like that, you know, and the guys that work with me now, they're almost like family to us too, because we've been together so long.
Teach them the tricks of the trade. Don't go buy brand new. If you go to the pawn shop, you can pick up a beautiful chop saw for like
Yeah.
25% of the.
I picked up a new Pushmore a while ago on the way over here. So
There you go, man.
Yeah.
a Honda Pushmore for $200. Come on.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
But it's an interesting comment you make, because I think that you're right, and that's one of the things that, you know, I have tried to talk to people about over the years is, you know, being financially responsible and trying not to live outside of your means, because I think everybody at some point in their life flirts with it, and I certainly did. When I was younger, the first time I got a real paycheck, I'm like, God damn it, I can't wait to spend this thing. You know, it's like, woo, this is fun.
I think we've all been there.
Absolutely.
And I think that's you have to go through that to be able to get to the place you need to be.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, I never had anybody teaching me about finance when I grew up. I don't know about you guys, but I never had a parent or a mentor say, you know, hey, this is what you should do. I just kind of, you know, when I got my first real job, I'm like, you know, this 401k thing, I don't even know what the hell it is, but I should probably do it.
Right.
Free money,
you
right
know?
there. Well, they always say you could lead a horse to water.
I hear the tax sheltered thing. I like that. So fuck it, I'm going to do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't see it coming out of my paycheck, you know, it's not going to hurt me. But nobody told me at an early age to do that. I got lucky that I started. It's shocking to me that how many times, especially when I was in corporate America and I had the chance to manage people, it was shocking to me how many times I would manage a 40 or a 50 something, right? Somebody that's getting up there in age,
Right.
And I would sit down and I'd say, hey, what's your retirement plan? And they have
Deer in the
nothing.
headlights.
No money set back, no nothing, no assets. And it's just, like you said, lived paycheck to paycheck their entire life. And it's like, okay, I'm going to teach you the business, but I'm also going to talk to you about, come on, it's time to get serious about life. You know, have you seen Social Security? Buddy, that ain't.
Yeah. If you're planning on that, you're planning on losing.
Making a down payment on your double wide now.
You know, you will not be able to afford
Florida.
a double wide. It'll be single.
Single.
Single wide.
I'm in real estate. Believe me, guys, it's a single wide.
So what other, since then, back in 08, 09, you guys, as you're climbing out of this and things are getting better, besides keeping a nest egg, are there any other things that you've like stop gaps or safety nets that you've tried to put in place? So if this happens again, or you just like, we're paying off everything so we don't owe anybody as much as possible?
Oh, yeah. Living debt free as much as possible.
What else are you guys doing?
Just try not to get too far out. I know
staying in shape a little more. You're still swinging a hammer, so if you got to go back and
right,
carry
that's
some
a shape,
drywall,
right?
It is a shape, and
round is a shape.
I embrace it.
pear is a shape.
I'm working on it.
Pear.
No, yeah. I mean, we're just trying not to fall in that same routine we were on purpose. We're trying to streamline things so there's less, keep the money more in our pockets is that's the biggest thing we've tried to do. Or at least keep it in the company,
right?
Instead of giving it away on frivolous things, I guess.
Okay.
There's no need to drive a brand new car or right now, if the
At least
county
wash it. That's what you did. You told me. You told your brother-in-law, just wash the damn truck before you pull up on the job site.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, see,
Unless you
boss,
can really
man.
afford it. And you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
that's a
and
big thing. It's like, there's nothing wrong with buying a new car
right.
as long as you can afford it.
Exactly. Well, and there's certain reasons, I know for the longest time, our accountants would tell us, look, you need the tax write-off. You either get you a truck or you pay taxes.
Well, with this year's
for
tax
that.
break, that's a hell of a deal. No,
So, you got to be smart too.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to ever be driving on Maypops again.
True. Yeah, that's scary when you drive because
Stocking up on tires in the garage. That's what it is right now. Okay, there's my truck. I got 4 sets of new tires back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. My truck now, I still got good tread on it, but I'm already thinking I'm gonna have to get me a set of tires here soon. So just I don't know. It's weird. It's changed so much. It's almost like I said. It's almost surreal. Because it was so tough at that time, and not that and we still. I wouldn't say we struggle now, but we're always conscious.
Mm-hmm.
If I lose a job, it's like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then some of them I don't care. Some jobs are like, man, I don't. That's going to be more headache than it's worth. But
that's what he told it when I asked him to quote a job for me. He's like, "You're more headache than you're worth. Just go use somebody else."
But no, I mean, we definitely did change the way we looked at things. Mm-hmm. And my brother-in-law is probably more so than me. He's, I think he still uses straight talk. Because he wants to be, he doesn't want to spend no more,
I can't blame him, man.
He was a Cricket
wireless
customer before.
Hey, wireless is insanely expensive.
It is expensive. I mean, and I was on there for a long time, but he controls his cost way. I mean, he's frugal anyway.
Yeah.
If he can find a place that'll give him free coffee in the morning, he'll drive an extra 20 minutes to get free coffee.
Spend $5 in gas to get a free $2 coffee. Yeah, that's good.
So, but yeah, I mean,
you guys buying cell phone minutes back then too in 08? Was that shoot, I got 6 more minutes left on it.
Exactly. $45 unlimited, all you could talk.
Yeah.
So,
oh my goodness. Did you guys bid jobs differently back then during that period? Was that part of like your business model before the recession, that Great Recession hit, when you guys would quote a job and bid it? Did you like restructure that?
Well, yeah, we did for a long time. See, because we do commercial drywall too, and the commercial takes a good bit more money. And back then, we were kind of set up where the residential had a lot of steady cash flow, and we would use that to finance the bigger commercial jobs. And so for a long time, we wouldn't bid. And there's people we've worked with for many years that want us to bid jobs, and we just couldn't because we couldn't finance it.
Right. You got to manage your cash flow.
Right.
Especially when things are tough.
Exactly. So it took a long time till we were able to start doing commercial drywall again. And now we're back up doing that again. We've got, multiple jobs going on commercial drywall. So, and that's a good thing. There's more profitability in it, but you got to have that cash flow.
Well, were you trying to reduce margins and stuff like profit margins to carry from one job to the next?
Yeah, we would negotiate back then.
And can we get 25% up front so we can at least get the first couple walls up?
Yeah, we need to buy materials. No crap. We used to, and now.
Well, when you can't front a job like nowadays, you can probably go in with your lines of credit or whatever you have, and you're like, we can get the materials and then we'll ask for X amount. Back then it was like, we need X amount so we can go to Home Depot and pick this stuff up so we can get started.
Well, and we had to change one of our suppliers to be able to get credit on board, to be able to do it was like stages. It was crazy. For a while we'd had to go buy it and pay for it.
Like starting up all over again.
What basically we did, we started all over. And then after we got to a certain point, we went and talked to a certain supplier and they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you $2,000 credit. But look, it was credit.
It was good luck.
So, and it just kind of was we knew how to do it. We'd done it before, but it was just a progress,
Sure, it was frustrating.
Well, I can tell you, we've obviously been through a lot because we started our business about a year and a half ago. Right. And, we've kind of gone through a lot getting started. And just having operating capital is incredible in terms of the difference for your own level of stress and your mindset and just knowing that you've got it like, okay, we can operate this business for 6 months. That changes your perspective immensely.
It changes your attitude too when you do a job. We were so hard pressed to get paid. Man, we need to get paid because we got to get money in the bank to cover this. But once you get moving and you have that capital sitting there, it takes that stress of getting your money, because some people want to pay you right away and some people are like, well, I can get you paid.
Desperation leads to desperation.
It does.
You'll make desperate decisions. You'll do stupid things. And we've all been there and done it.
Oh yeah. I've had phone calls where, when all this stuff was turning around, we'll drop the checks off, for you to pick up at noon. Oh, I want my check now. I'm going to come there and whoop your ass. You better pay me. Dealing in
construction.
That's construction.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's not like I'm sitting at the office. We're over here finishing this house that you hung the sheetrock on. I said, we're going to break at lunch. I'll meet you and gather the check, or you can come here and get it now, but we'll pay you. We just got to, we're out here working.
And I can't sign checks very good if you whip my ass.
Yeah. Exactly. It probably went a little different than that. Because I was like, well, bring
you
it,
my
buddy.
ass.
Come
I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Is Eddie as big as you are?
He's scrappy.
Holy!
He's about 10 years older than me, but he's. Look, he grew up in this business.
He's a brick house.
Yeah, it's a crazy world. We love it though.
Yeah, it's just. I find this interesting because, going back to the whole operating capital thing. So prior to this lockdown thing starting, and like I said, I think it's going to take us a long time to figure out what kind of situation we're really in here.
Right.
But before that, the average business had 45 days of operating capital. And that to me, like when I get that low, that stresses me the fuck out.
45 days of
45 days. That's the average. And I bet restaurants are well south of that because if you look at, and the reason why I say that is if you look at the failure rate of new businesses, restaurants like over-index tremendously. Oh. So they work on tighter margins. So you got to imagine restaurants are lower than that. I would say probably, if you were going to put a number on, it's probably lower than 30 days on average.
I had that. I had a couple banner months over the holidays coming into the new year, and it's like, I can put it this way, but I'm like, this money is going into savings. This is a safety net because if there is a lean month or 2 or 3, hence where we are now, it's like, okay, I've got capital carrying me through. So I don't have to be reaching into my back pocket to make expenses, to make ends meet. So it's like, whew. Oh,
but I go back to like where I was a year ago
Holy crap.
when I didn't have, operating capital in the bank.
Right.
And I knew that I needed to make it, right? I made different decisions and I made worse decisions.
Oh, yeah.
On
you bought
the big
coffee.
things
It's
and
almost
the little
like desperation.
Things. It is. And that's why I said earlier, desperation leads to desperation.
So I have a question. Did you start drinking Natty? daddy yet?
Okay, I
Hasn't
said
gotten that bad.
Not that
desperate,
bad.
not stupid. Okay, Jesus, I value life. Okay, I'm not going to drink fucking Natty Daddy. I drank it once for a video and almost threw up my guts. It was disgusting. But it's interesting because I look at the decisions I make now, and there are things that I'm doing, and I feel better about it. I'm not stressed. I'm making smarter decisions.
Yeah.
And, just kind of going back to your comments on, what kind of decisions are you living paycheck to paycheck in your business? Because I think that's the other thing too, is managing cash flow is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Are you living paycheck to paycheck in your business? And if so, you don't need to be there. There's no business that needs to operate that way. So you can make smarter decisions and get to a place where you don't have to, oh my God, if I don't get that check on Friday, I'm screwed. You don't have to be there.
Right.
And it takes time to get to that place. You
It
got to
does.
work through it.
And that's what we did.
Right. And that's same here. For a while we were living paycheck to pay, and that's a bad place. It's scary. I know personally, I run 90 days behind on my house note for almost 3 years straight. And you talking about stress.
That's
when you
right on
know
the
you're right on the edge.
That's right on the edge of getting foreclosure.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was that added to the stress back then so much, and since, it was a scary time. Just, stuff like that adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been late on a payment before all that stuff. And, your credit was fine. And then my credit, for a while, I didn't even want to know what my credit was. It's like,
I didn't think it went
Fuck
lower than that. I thought the threshold was here.
I didn't think there was negative numbers. What the hell?
exactly. So, and it took a while before I was even willing to even try to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to know I had money sitting and know I had money coming in. And then I started working on it. And, people don't, credit's very important.
It is.
And I try to teach that to my kids.
It's a tool.
They're young. They don't have any credit. And I'm like, you got to have some credit. You got to start somewhere, and I said, I don't want you living here forever. And you got to have credit to even rent an apartment or anything. So, and I've tried to teach them, but, they listen and do their.
Well, you said
They come
earlier.
back with one word. Co-signer, Dad.
Yeah.
Co-signer.
Sorry, that well's dry. But you said something earlier, trying to keep your debt down was
Right.
important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that I try to instill in people, if they'll listen, is that, money is an instrument and debt can be an instrument. It does, if you don't have a pot to piss in, and you want to go out and buy a brand new convertible and you stretch yourself to the absolute limits to buy it, but some bank will get you the loan, that's bad debt.
That's like nowadays.
That's terrible
They're doing
debt.
that.
That's what got us into where we were at in 08. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
I used to hear stories about people buying a new house,
Mm-hmm.
not only put no money down and walking away with $30,000 cash after they closed on the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, where does that make sense?
it doesn't.
Doesn't.
But I had gotten to a place, earlier in my life when, I started making stupid decisions like that because I thought the paychecks would always be there.
Yeah.
And luckily I wised up before something bad happened. I finally came to the realization, like, wait a minute, this is dumb. I'm wasting a lot of money.
So you finally bought what kind of car after you had been buying what type of vehicles?
Well,
Or what was it? And then what did it become? So
I went from new fancy cars to I'm driving an 8-year-old truck right now, Darren.
new fancy BMWs, like
Yeah,
tricked out
I
all the
did.
way.
But I made stupid decisions. Luckily, I didn't, get into a bad position before I learned that lesson. But it's an important thing. People need to understand there's good debt and there's bad debt.
There is.
If you capitalize an investment for your business and you need, bank money, we've got a series that we started about finding money.
Brandon Sherman, we talk about
Right.
that.
Debt can be very, very good. But if you're just running up credit cards to buy purses and shit, like
Yeah.
that's,
You want to be balling? Is that what it-
you want some bling? Like, no, you don't want that. Stop. That's stupid.
Right.
So it's and the same thing can happen in business. I see people make, irresponsible decisions in business where it's like, oh, I need a, $50,000 copier because I need it.
Do you think I've got? I mean,
No.
we've got the Keurig pod thing there, and that's as high as we're going here. We're not doing like espresso cappuccino, the Nexus, $1,500 coffee makers, so I can have frothy
So
milk.
that's
on
why
top
there's
of
not
it.
a barista in here. You
Exactly.
cheap bastard.
We may be doing that one day, though. I'll tell you
Little
that story
Starbucks
later.
counter.
It's gonna be-
As long as there's a revenue opportunity.
yes.
So if
Rev share is good.
So looking back on your experience, Bobby, if you were to talk to somebody about, where we're at today and knowing that something's happening, we just don't know what. If you're going to sit down with somebody and say, hey, here's the things I learned going through this the last time, what are those things you really try to instill in people?
You can survive on the dollar menu.
Other than McDonald's dollar menu, because that's horrible.
Oh yeah. The biggest thing I would say is, I don't know, and it may just be a personality trait. When stuff gets tough, we just keep moving forward. Just don't go backwards. Try to, even though if it seems you're going backwards, as long as you're persistently working toward, don't give up. Like when you asked me earlier, I don't think that was ever even an option in our minds. It's not even something that crossed our mind.
Yeah.
We're going to survive it, and we're going to do whatever it takes.
You were too stupid to know that you were like 2 days away from going out of business, because you were.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think
we're not going out of business. It's like, have you seen your bank account? You might.
there is something that you said, though, earlier, and I think that was a really good point, was you would get up in the morning every day, you pick up your brother-in-law, and you guys would go to the Home Depot parking lot and start dialing. But this was a routine. So you still kept a routine. You got up, you got out of bed, you showed up for
We went to work
job
every
that
day, whether we had one or not.
But that was your routine. You were out there and you were still pounding the pavement, hustling for business. And that's a key factor right there. I think
we never gave up. I mean,
right.
Even if we didn't have something to do, we got up just like normal, loaded up, and we would go sit in a parking lot,
And you weren't too proud to do anything except unless it was illegal. But I mean, you guys,
there may have been.
Okay, anyway, we're not going to go there. But I mean, you were
a
cleaning.
gray area is a gray area.
Back then, the internet wasn't as powerful as it is today. So, but yeah. So what else?
I actually want to stop you there.
Okay.
Because I think this is very, very wise. And it's something that we haven't heard anybody really talk about since we started this series. And I'm gonna break it down for you, but I hear you talking about momentum. And momentum's really, really important, especially in this thing, because I think what's happened to a lot of people is we were told shelter in place, stay in your house, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I'm at home. And I think a lot of people lost their momentum. Right. It's like, well, I can just roll out of bed at 10:30 because I don't have to get up, because I don't have to be anywhere. And I'm just, woe is me, I'm stuck. And people have lost momentum. And that's a really big thing. Just, like you said, getting up. You guys could have made those calls from the house.
Right.
But the fact that you got up, you showered, you got in the truck, and you're sitting in the Home Depot parking lot, it changed everything. And that momentum of getting up and we're going somewhere.
In our mind, we knew we were doing something.
Exactly.
We never gave up. I mean, we just never did. It wasn't even an option. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Couldn't you classify that as discipline also? Just the fact that you're just making yourself get up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think discipline's critical. But what I find really interesting is just that wisdom that getting something started led to more,
right.
And I think that's.
It does. But that routine is key. And I mean, you talk about it. You guys, like you said, maybe showered.
I don't know. I mean, it's questionable.
He didn't mention that.
Shaving, no. Showering, maybe.
They got up. They went to work, quote unquote, every day. You're right. People are lackadaisic. There's all that joking around now. Oh, here's what I wear to work each day. Well, pull your ass out of there, okay? Mm-hmm. And you lost momentum. I mean, I remember when my dad was telling me that he was trying to cut expenses a while back, and he had an office and he was going to get it up, and he created an office downstairs. And he goes, I don't know that I can do this. And I said, well, what's your routine every day? And he said, when I go to my office to work, he stops at one, he grabs the paper, then he stops at one place and grabs a cup of coffee. And I said, well, do that every day. And then now your route is to drive back home. You don't say anything, but you walk downstairs and you go to your new office. And that actually helped him out. That was his routine. So his mindset was, this is how I get prepared to go to work every day. That's what you guys did. You got up You were prepared to go to work. And like you said, by noon, you had some job that you were going to.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of folks are kind of like, yeah, I'm still working.
I'm quarantined.
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm helpless.
Yeah, but I think
No,
that's
not.
exactly right.
You're still working, man. Get out there.
Right.
And do it.
Yeah. That momentum, that mindset, that ability to say, I'm going to start something, even if I don't know where.
Right.
I mean, you would wake up in the mornings and you wouldn't even know, are we going to do any work? Are we going to make any money? But you started on the assumption that we're going to get something, and we're going to start that by getting out of bed, by going to Home Depot, a place where we can get materials. Like I've got the train out of the station. I think that's really important. And I think that if you're listening and you find yourself in a rut, you've been at home, even if you're not a business owner, you're self-employed and you're kind of like, I'm not motivated. I'm stuck in bad, like you said, really bad habits. Change them.
Well, John
Start
said
off on the-
discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a book. God, man, I probably shouldn't even say this because I can't remember the author or the name of the book.
It's okay.
But I read a book.
Was it words or pictures?
A little of both. No, it was words. It was a Navy SEAL.
Lots of good pictures.
It was a Navy SEAL that made it to officer. Long story short, he had his secrets to success. I got to see him speak at this thing. It was really cool.
Make your bed. Was it McRaven?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make your bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first thing he did every day was make his bed. And that was like his secret to success. And that started the momentum. Damn, I feel really bad that Mr. Winnie remembered that and I didn't.
Mine. John has his moments.
No, I don't feel bad about it. I feel bad about the fact that he's never going to let me live it down now.
No,
I think that's awesome.
Forgot about it already. What?
Yes, exact bullshit.
John,
He's gonna be
you
rubbing
just
my
earned
face
yourself
in
a
it all
new
day.
bottle of bourbon. We're
It's
gonna
the only
sit
way
down
I'm
in
gonna-
your driveway and look up at Jake's house and go,
If you
"Wish
think that'll
could be-"
shut him up, you are not very smart,
No,
Darren.
I'm just trying to lube him up and get him motivated.
better
and
of me.
send him back up there.
Damn it, man, this sucks. Anyways, no, you're right. I mean, make your bed. That's how he started every day, and that started that momentum of getting somewhere, being successful. So I
What
think
was
that's
the name
really,
of that book again? Say it.
Make your bed.
make your bed.
Make your bed. Find Nick
No, Admiral.
Admiral.
Was it Admiral?
Admiral
I think
Craven.
it was. Yeah, it was. He was an admiral.
He's a retired Navy SEAL.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great book. It's a short read.
My mom
Rear,
read it
Rear
too.
Admiral or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, good
So
book.
you guys did it.
Yeah.
Little did you know you could have wrote a book about it, Bobby.
Man, I missed out.
Yeah, well, it's not too late. Well, we appreciate you coming in, Bobby. This has been really informative. I've learned a lot by talking to you, and I'm not at all surprised that you guys made it through it. Just getting to know your mindset. And once again, I just want to thank you for taking the hard way. The right way is always the hard way. And you guys did that and you made it through. And that makes me very confident that you guys will come out on the other side of whatever we're going through now, whatever this is going to be, you guys will come out probably stronger than you are now. Because, you've built in a lot of wisdom and, you've even taught us knuckleheads a thing or two. So that's awesome.
Yep.
So thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And we want to remind you guys, hey, Darren, what do we have in the studio today?
Beer.
No, we always got beer. We have a freaking camera.
We have a camera. Finally,
we're gonna get back
Hopefully
on
it's
YouTube.
still recording. We have no idea.
God dang it. That's right. We are in Launch and Go, the
That
place
means we're going
that's...
to be back on YouTube again.
Yes, we're going to get back to YouTube, guys.
Holy
We have
shit.
not posted videos in quite a while, but we're going back to that. So
Are we
that's
on
cool.
Twitter yet?
Good.
Finally?
We are tweeting.
John?
No.
No.
Not
Still
really.
working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
There.
we'll get there, okay? It's
Ah,
frankly not everybody
It's-
tweets as perfectly,
Once-
okay, as the president.
It's all about momentum.
we are
It is
on the other
momentum.
socials,
Build.
though. We're still
We-
on Instagram and we're on Facebook.
Yes, you've been doing well, Darren. I saw that you posted this morning.
Good.
It was awesome.
I got to
man.
figure out how to do a little quiz thing. I don't know how to do that yet.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to
Or
get
I,
back.
can, or I can call my 17-year-old
Okay, guys, we
daughter.
suck at social media. Okay, we're not freaking millennials. We
Right.
do better.
But we're not giving up.
We're not. We're gonna get better at it because we're gonna have perseverance, determination.
And maybe someday some effort.
Hey, we've
And
got
on
good
that
beer.
note-
That's all that matters. We're drinking good beer from Line Creek. That's what matters.
Yes, Mr. Winnie.
Yes, from Line Creek.
Mhm.
Good beer. Actually, great beer from
Yes.
Line Creek. And now you can go there and you can walk up on the patio and get a fresh pour right from the tap and go back and sit on some picnic tables they have set up. And keep your social distancing, but you can have fresh Line Creek beer from the tap.
Do you know his?
So good.
He actually sounds like a radio guy.
He does.
when he doesn't actually applies effort to doing an ad, he sounds great.
Well, when you're passionate about a certain subject, you know, you kind of.
Well, you'll do the beer ads every week.
What are their hours these days?
What are the hours these days, Darren?
It's on your
sheet of paper
printout.
that
If
we
you can
gave
read that.
Oh, good Lord.
Do you need my
I
glasses?
thought that was a tech tip.
New hours are
New hours are Monday through Saturday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Is that right?
Yes.
There's no p.m. I think.
That's
And
not
Sunday,
AM.
12:30 to 6:30.
12:30 to 6:30
Yes, 12:30 to 6:30. You can go there and you
on
can,
Sunday.
You can still go to do the just pick up a few 6-packs, or you can stay and
You hang out at a picnic table, drink some beer out in this beautiful weather we've
beautiful
had.
springtime weather.
I'm
yeah.
down with that.
awesome.
And if you can't make it to the brewery, go to your local bottle shop or, grocery store and, pick up some
That's right.
Line Creek. And if you don't see Line Creek in there,
No,
What
don't
should you
do
do?
it. You should just ask them nicely to please provide it. Like the two that we were drinking today, the First Crush and the Rangefinder, you can find in your local package stores and grocery stores. So
And tell them it'll be really good for their health if they stock
They
Line
will.
Creek.
So
Yeah,
that way
so you
Jake
should
won't show
absolutely-
You
up.
wouldn't want something to happen to them.
no, because listen,
Joe Pesci
the other
might
thing that
come
you
by.
could do if your store doesn't carry Line Creek is you can abduct the manager or
could
the
just
owner.
call.
You can put them. No, look, just
You know
hold
what you
on.
should do?
Okay,
You
all right.
put
I think
them in
Jake
a
is-
box underground
Jake
and you
is for
feed them
hire.
gruel. Excuse me, I'm
No,
talking.
Jake is for hire for
You
them to take care
put
of
them
the
in a box
manager.
underground. You lock them up and you tell them you will be let out of this box.
Or you put
as
the
soon as you
lotion
get
in
Line-
the basket.
You've been
Yes.
watching too many Netflix specials or something.
Yes.
Well, I'm quarantined and that's all I can do. So, or I guess you can ask nicely.
Oh
Whatever.
my goodness, where were we recording today?
We're recording. What do you think of this place? It's pretty cool, huh?
Oh, yes, awesome.
This is the global headquarters for the Beer and Business Podcast here at Launch and
Yes.
Go Workspace. We have like some technology stuff. I actually really don't even know what the hell this stuff is, but I know it's like techie. Somehow it works.
Knobs and
Yeah,
buttons and blinky lights.
Yeah,
And we have this up there again today since we're recording.
that's called a television or televisión in Espanol.
Wow.
Yeah, we have. It's a high-tech studio, folks. We have stuff.
Yep.
First of all, if you have a podcast, if you're recording a podcast and you're doing it in your house or your basement, get out of the house, come up to the studio. It's open.
Please.
Darren cleans everything. He sprayed me with Lysol before I came in here.
I'll tell you
So
what.
sanitary.
It was fine until he sprayed it in my mouth. It doesn't taste very good.
Yeah.
I was listening to somebody who recorded.
okay? A little bit of
No.
disinfectant. Excuse me.
No.
Excuse me. Are you a doctor?
You know what?
Okay, frankly.
And I'll tell you what people don't realize is if you're trying to do a podcast remotely, like somebody
Yes.
that I was listening to their podcast and they called them, I said, you should have at least came in and recorded here.
Yes.
You would have sounded so much better. So even if you're a guest on somebody's show and
Yes.
they're calling you remote, come in here for better sound quality.
Yeah, go back
please.
and listen to Sarah Dale, the interview we did with her. She was not in studio, but she sounded great because we have good technology, folks.
Mhm.
So if you have a podcast, you're thinking about starting one, call Launch and Go to launchandgoworkspace.com. It's really awesome. Or if you need a place to work
And get away from the house.
because you don't want like babies screaming in the background or
Right.
dogs barking,
Yep.
come here. It's clean. You're only letting members in.
Yep.
So even with social distancing, you can come work up here. It's nice and quiet with soothing music in the background. It's professional. It's an office. You can do video conferencing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't do it with dogs barking. That's dumb.
I know.
Sorry, guys. Just don't.
We do the whole delousing thing, like the beginning of Shawshank. So
Yeah.
They spray him down with a hose and no.
Good Lord.
He only does that to us.
Oh, let's talk about Overwatch, shall we?
Yes,
Can we move along now? So-
we can.
Overwatch sent us a tech tip today. Did you guys know that obviously you know who GoDaddy is, right?
Danica Patrick was in those commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she was.
Now, what
Very
is
good,
GoDaddy
John.
for those of us that don't know, Darren?
So they host your websites for you. So a lot of people are like, oh, I need a good website hosting place. And they go to GoDaddy. They're one of the largest ones out there. I'm not going to say the best, but they're one of the largest. And they were breached.
Putin's got in.
The
Wait,
Putins got in. They were actually breached back in October, but it wasn't until the end of April where they finally admitted that this had happened. And
What is it with these big companies? Like they get breached and they won't.
Don't tell anybody.
Oh,
Right.
shit. Let's try to keep a lid on this for as long as we can.
figure out what happened.
This is
So-
going to be better for us when it comes out later.
Yeah.
right.
When it comes out, we sat on this for 3 months.
They're going to love us.
Yes.
7 months
Idiots.
later, oops, we were breached back then. That's why you got locked out of your accounts and couldn't get to your, if anybody who does their web hosting and stuff, they weren't able to get into their accounts because all their passwords and everything had been reset. They're claiming it was only 28,000
only.
users out of their 400
Sorry,
million that they
28,000.
have.
Yeah.
400 million. Wow. Yeah,
Something
sure.
like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 28,000 isn't a lot.
So,
Don't worry about it. It's no
anyway.
big deal.
I'm not going to go get on my soapbox about GoDaddy, but I do know that Overwatch said, hey, if you're having issues with your web hosting and GoDaddy hasn't been treating you right, they can actually help you migrate and take your website and bring it over to a different web hosting company, and they'll help you do that. So all you have to
One
do
that's
is
probably secured by Overwatch, so you don't have to
There
worry.
you go.
Like us, like nobody's getting into us.
nobody's sharing
Does
breadstick
anybody wanna
recipes,
get in
stealing
there?
breadstick recipes.
Yes. There's attempts. Dude,
No, I
everybody
got it.
wants to know our secret
I
recipe.
know.
They can't have it.
They want the secret sauce.
They want the Colonel's original.
We
herbs
have
and spi-
we have the
we have herbs and
secret-
spices. Why do you
That's
think
right.
people love the podcast?
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
our secret herbs.
Bobby's got a great hamburger recipe, by the way. But
Oh, I need
we can
that.
Talk about that after.
I'm a grill master.
So, but if you have any questions about for your business or personal that has to do with cybersecurity or even maintenance for your computers, you can contact Overwatch Technology at www.overwatch.technology. And if you want a free assessment, there's a button on there,
And it's free.
and click on it, and it
Wow.
says it costs how many dollars?
I guess none. It's $3,
Free
right? Because
dollars.
it's a free assessment.
Just like we do with beer and business. If you want to be on the show, what do you do?
Well, you go to the website, www.beer.business, and there's a link there, Mr. Winnie. What does it say?
It says be on the show.
Yeah, it's really complicated.
What is it? In the
We got to
upper
keep
right or
it simple
something?
because we have to be able to use the website.
Yeah.
How do you subscribe to beer and business?
Well, when you use your favorite podcast app, there's a big button there. And I don't know if you know this, Bobby, but it says subscribe. Click that.
How much does that cost?
Well, again, it's free.
Free.
What?
There's no Putin's getting in because it's secured by Overwatch. So
That's right.
Thank you,
Download
Overwatch.
Yeah.
it. Download the show and worry free.
that's it.
What else you got for us today? You got
Well,
any words of wisdom at all?
Yes. There's one thing that has really been bothering me the past couple of weeks, and I need to get this off my chest.
You should just buy better toilet paper.
Yeah.
Can you find better toilet paper right now? I think
Oh, hell yeah.
are we still in that phase where you just take what you can get, or can you now be selective?
You can be
Because I like
selective.
quilted.
Yeah, we got some quilted northern
Do
at
we?
the house. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right,
Yeah,
then.
see, there you
case.
go. Go to
Well, then,
John's
I'm
house.
ready to go back. Yeah, I'm going down to
No.
John's to take a dump. No, there's something that's been bothering me the last couple of weeks. And I have tried to stay away from social media as much as possible these past couple of months because it's been terrible.
It's bad.
And I have definitely stayed away from traditional media. But there's one thing that's been bothering me, and that is there is a certain voracity that I have seen come up when people disagree online right now. And I'm going to give you an example, something as simple as, all these states now that are opening back up, whether it's phased or whatever the case might be, you see people post something and then everybody's responding about, oh, we're going back to work or, things are opening up. And the personal nature, the veracity of how people are disagreeing with each other is absolutely crazy.
Mhm.
And it's really hurtful. For example, if somebody is saying something about going back to work and they mention the need for getting the economy going and supporting small business, then somebody else says, oh my God, you're an evil person. You want people to die for going back to work.
Right.
The ensuing argument there is so personal. It's so hateful. And I see it over and over again. And I don't care what your position is, you need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to stop. That's ridiculous. There's no reason for us to have that kind of dialogue. Are we better than that? And I'll give you an example. Okay. So if you're somebody that recognizes the need for the economy to work and you want to see us getting back to work and somebody else is like, oh my God, you want people to die. Okay. So let's take that person that says, oh my God, you want people to die. They may work in a job where they've never had to think about sales. They've never had to worry about how the economy works. And they just don't have the perspective. That doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make them evil. It doesn't make them, when they say that you want people to die, they don't understand. And that's okay. Or vice versa. If you're saying that, oh my God, people are going to die if we don't get back to work, and you're short-sighted, you don't understand the economy, again, you may not understand that there are people that are at risk, or that this disease is really strange in the way that it's affecting people. Yep. You don't need to be so extreme, and you don't need to make disagreements personal. You can disagree with somebody and still love them. Think about your spouse. How often do you disagree with your spouse, but you still love them to death? Or your kids. How often do you disagree with your kids because they're growing up in a very different era than you?
They always agree.
Right, but
no,
yeah, they're so much smarter than you. But no, seriously, you think about these people that are the people you love the most in life. You disagree with them, but you still love them, and you do it in a way that's respectful. We should do that to everybody. Why do we have to be so hateful to disagree? You don't.
Right.
So if you find yourself disagreeing with people, this is a very, very difficult time for everybody. Everybody's struggling through this. Mm-hmm. Just be respectful. You can disagree with people and still be cool, right?
Yeah.
So we should do that.
Yeah. I think you're saying never forget the golden rule, right? Treat other people the way you want to be treated.
That's right.
You're welcome.
I mean, thank you, Mr. Winnie. And on that note,
well, the platinum rule, treat everybody else the way they would like to be treated, not the way you want to be treated.
No, treat other people
the way they want to be treated.
No,
that's the platinum rule. That's not the golden rule. It's taking it a step further. Darren's
I don't like the platinum rule.
Darren has to take
the platinum rule.
What do we say?
No,
let's go stick it with
what
it.
happens is we have a perfect moment, and then Darren has to fuck it up. That's what happens.
I'm trying to, I've heard a different one.
It's a silver rule.
Anyway, try to look at things from another person's perspective.
Or just disagree with them, but don't be a dick about it.
I'm going to send a nasty tweet to Darren after the show.
We should. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Great.
But if you're being an asshole just to pick on Darren, that's totally acceptable, folks. You can do that.
Right.
Bring it.
Folks, we thank you for tuning in. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
See you.